welcome to the Sigma Show, episode 69. It's your host, Sigma. Before we get into who's joining me today, real quick, we'll go over what our topics are going to be for the week. First up, we've got some rumors, hard rumors it seems, of 3 new animated Avatar: The Last Airbender universe movies. Not, the blue Avatar. We don't deal with those Avatar around these streets. All right. After that, we're going to get into some talk about Diablo Immortal, the new mobile game that dropped not too long ago, which has pulled in $24 million in its first 2 weeks. We'll talk about what maybe that means as a reflection of the industry as it stands today. And finally, last week was the bulk of Summer Game Fest. It kind of ended with the Xbox/Bethesda showcase, which happened the day we would normally record this show. So we skipped this show. Now we'll actually take the time to kind of go back through some of the news that came out of that and how we feel about it. And here to talk with me about those things today, Blue Bones.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Blue Bones BLUB0 NES.
Superman Jeff.
Hey, what's going on?
And Yokina Cat.
Oh no!
Hey y'all.
Oh,
it took a while, but there she got there. Also, shout out to Superman Jeff. Today's his actual birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Happy
Superman
birthday.
Jeff.
Appreciate it. Appreciate that. Thank you.
And speaking of days of recognition, today also happens to be Father's Day.
Yep.
So shout outs to all the fathers out there.
Right.
Happy Father's Day.
And in addition to Father's Day, today is also Juneteenth. So shout out to all Black Americans and Black people all over the world, just in general, because you all know how it be.
yes, rock them.
There's definitely a trifecta today.
Right, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on today, but
And it's episode
we're just gonna
69?
that's another thing to kind of celebrate. It's so weird that all these monumental occasions coalesced on a singular day. It's almost like a singularity.
What is it? That Agatha gif?
Yeah.
Right. So let's jump right into things. We'll start off with how we usually do, with what we've been playing. We'll catch you guys up on kind of the crew and what's going on in the world of games from a more personal level. We won't try to take too long because we do have 3 topics today. But anybody feel like they want to go first?
Go ahead.
I'll go first. I get relatively easy. Or you can go.
All right.
Not much. Been playing some Destiny, obviously. Played a little bit of Destiny. Did some Trials of Osiris this week. Got my 7 wins. So right now I'm just kind of collecting different weapons, catching up on my light, trying to do some of the newer stuff I haven't got to do yet. Like the new dungeon, I've done it, but didn't finish it. So trying to get and do some of that. So that's pretty cool. So same with Destiny. We actually played some For Honor last night. I saw Blues out there last night.
Yeah,
And I forgot how fun that game was.
Yeah, that game. Yeah, I love For Honor.
It's not.
I wish I
fun
could
when you
get more to it.
Competitive meta side. That's
Yes.
where it falls off because it's really broken at the top. But amongst your friends, it's
Right. Because I think
especially if they're not running.
we even
Especially if they're not running. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I can stand them running cats.
Not running, just come in. Because we had a tournament for this. Remember, we had a tournament for this.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, and it was fun until, like you said, until you got to those higher skill bracket, and then it was just like everything was parried, everything was countered, and it was just like, okay,
Well,
yep, this
really
is why I'm
character builds were just they were open.
right
They were-
out of ridiculous. Yeah.
It was not balanced.
So it was like I was wondering, like, because that's so I was like, well, why don't we stop playing this? This is actually fun, like the different warriors, different kits, like it's pretty cool, right? But then I'm like, Blue's right. Like once you kind of start to hit up there, it's just like,
It's only a couple-
there's no point in me just
Yeah,
going
it
to get
gets-
my behind beat. Yeah,
It's almost like the skill gap is super vast, right?
Mhm.
Like there's not like a middle ground that kind of eases you into those higher tiers. It's like, okay, you're having fun, and all of a sudden you cannot do anything.
But if it was like just a skill gap, the answer is like get good, right? It's not
Uh-huh.
just that. It's a balance of characters. Like at the top, there's only certain characters that are up there because the other ones do not match up. They don't have enough options. They don't have enough entries. The game
Mhm.
is unbalanced at the top. That's the biggest problem.
Gotcha.
a
Sad.
game like that, you have to have constant rebalancing, especially and we see that with a lot of games. People they'll see like where this character's getting played 90% of the time. There's something we need to do to add some more
Yeah.
variety where
Yeah.
everyone's playing this character, because in order to be competitive, you have to play this character, otherwise it's not going to happen. But I remember us playing it, and it was pretty fun.
Real quick, just to touch on what you said about like character utilization, and I know we're going to talk about it later, but that's one of the things I love about Overwatch. Every time they do an update, they always talk about this character was being used, this character wasn't being used, so we found out why and we balanced it all out. That happens
Right.
constantly, and that's what
And
needs to happen on games like For Honor.
exactly, because it makes you try different heroes that you might not otherwise tried, because they weren't gonna give you an instant win. You know what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
playing these characters aren't meta, and the same thing. Like Destiny does that. Like there's weapons where if they notice a subclass or particular weapons aren't being used, or these weapons are
Right.
being more used in another, then the next season you'll see the meta shift. Another class will get a buff. This weapon class will get a buff to kind of help to navigate some of that, that unfair. Not, I guess the overall uses. People, in the community will find something that's broken about it, and then everyone will do that, and there won't be any more variety.
Yeah, that's pretty much how a meta works in pretty much all games. Like, right, everyone gravitates to what's the easiest thing to get them those wins.
Yeah, when there's only a couple options, that's when it gets annoying.
Understood.
And then watching, obviously Obi-Wan Kenobi. Won't go into that, but that's been really good. Love the payoffs there. One episode left. I feel like there's so much more to go over that I don't know if this.
How many
one
episodes is that series again?
6.
6.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like there's so much that I want answers to that I don't know if I'm going to get those in a one episode that's an hour long. And I don't see them doing a season 2. I just don't. Because now we become from him being a hermit and kind of secluded to now he's out there doing active stuff. A one-off.
But didn't they announce a season 2?
I don't think so.
Not that I know.
I didn't hear season 2. Yeah, I didn't hear season 2 yet.
Quick Google check, but I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because didn't it like launch as like, oh, it's like the most successful Star Wars series thing on the streaming platform. So like after that news hit,
That
it was like, oh, we're gonna greenlight a season 2.
Because and originally there was mixed reviews about it, and so it wasn't like celebrated right out the bat because of what it's. Yeah, but as it's going on, and even the actress, I can't think of her name, Blue might know of it, who plays Reva, she got a lot of backlash online because of something that they thought, something she did that they thought went against something that was canon, and they kind of just started attacking her racially online and whatnot. So you saw Ian McGregor kind of come to her defense, and Hayden Christensen and everybody kind of saying, you're not Star Wars fans if this is what you're out here doing. So
let's be honest, it wasn't about anything she did.
Right. We know it was just because she was
alive.
They're
giving an excuse to basically just do what they were going to do anyway.
That's right.
Which is weird.
But yeah, John Lee Wombly in chat says that they're in talks, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
And Sir George Lucas also says not announced yet. And Sir George Lucas would know.
Yeah, he sure would
George
know.
Lucas.
But I feel like if this season was a little bit longer, they wouldn't have needed a second season. Not everything needs a second season. And as
I agree.
Me saying that, because I love more seasons of something that I love, but also I think it starts to dilute that time period. That time period is so fine. There's not so much you can do in there without already pretty much rewriting something that's already been established as canon. So I don't know if it needs a season 2. If it does, then I'm wondering what they're going to do. But I do really enjoy the series, how it's unfolding, how it touches on the aftermath of Order 66 and someone who feels directly responsible for it, right? Like you got betrayed.
And in a lot of ways, kind of is.
It is. But I feel like it was the council as a whole. They don't, instead of teaching how to. I feel like Qui-Gon was more. If he was alive, I don't feel like it would have happened. He was more unorthodox.
He was like progressive,
right?
Yeah,
where he
like he was a little, yeah.
You need to accept your feelings and kind of master your fear, as opposed to yes, fear and anger are the way to the dark side, But if you experience
So
emotion
repress it.
that you're not used to experiencing, obviously it's going to overwhelm you. But I feel like Qui-Gon could have helped navigate him a little bit better. Him and what's his name? Blue, you know his name. The
I
hippie
know
looking
a
Jedi.
lot about this, and I'm trying
What's
to
his
make
name?
sure
The
that we
hippie
don't
looking
go over
Jedi
this.
dude. What's his name?
The hippie
Looking
looking
Jedi
Jedi
Oh,
with
dude.
the
with
with
the
the stripe
dreads.
under his eye.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shoot, I can't remember his name, but yeah, he's
But
definitely
yeah, he was another one who was a Jedi but didn't follow the Jedi code.
he's definitely like a
Right.
feral Jedi.
Fair.
Yeah. So he was kind of like untapped. And we see that like with Grey Jedi where they don't necessarily follow the strict Jedi code. And I'm gonna go deep in this, but anyway, it's a good series. I enjoyed it. I'm hoping there's a lot of stuff that gets answered. But with one episode, like I said, I'm a little curious on how that's gonna get done. And then aside from that, Miss Marvel has been pretty good. Um, I went in with no expectations. I feel like it's slowly rising to be one of my favorites so far. I love the coming of age story. I love how it dwells into the Muslim culture, right? Something Rami did. Remember Rami? Rami on who?
Yeah, I love that
Something,
show.
yeah, something that Rami did very well as well. This does it, but like, oh my God, it's like in like a Saturday morning like sitcom type situation, like because in every essence, Kamala Khan is a fangirl, and this does a great job of expressing that. That's like you know, never mind. That's like someone who, is like a hero worship. They live like you lived in that time, like yeah, Thor this, Captain America this, and all of a sudden you find out that now you have powers. Now you're like it's dealing with what you believed it was versus coming to reality as well. Like
Isn't that
there's
similar to the whole Hawkeye show with Kate Bishop? Because she was also kind of like a big
in a
fan and
smaller
a
instance,
wannabe hero,
right?
and
Yeah,
then was like, oh, well, this is what it means to be a hero.
right. This is in a smaller, and then they are in the Kate's was to a smaller extent. I feel like this definitely brings that to the forefront. But also I love the art style where the drawings are like popping out and things she's thinking are being shown in like handwritten drawings and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. But that's all I've been watching and playing.
Okay. Anybody else want to go next? I mean, I can if you guys need time.
Here I got you. So I've been, just like Jeff, I've been watching Kenobi. I've seen a lot of controversial reviews on it, and I think it's just a lot of people whining. Um,
What else is new?
yeah, right. What else? Is new? Star Wars. Hey, we welcome back. So they're doing something right if they're whining like that. So I'm happy. No, the latest episode I thought was dope, and we have Jeff and you and I have a lot to talk about this series. We typically talk about every series that comes up. We've just been so busy. Just real quick, I wanted to tap on the whole season 2 thoughts on this. I don't think this
Mhm.
needs a season 2. I think Boba Fett is another one that does not need a season 2. If they pull everything into the Mandalorian and just keep going with that, I'm actually pretty happy. Only because the Mandalorian is such a strong starting point for this TV line. Now, I don't know exactly how that's all going to match up. I haven't done the work myself, but I know that that's probably their strongest series for long term, and they pretty much threw Boba on the back of that, and no one's too mad at it. I think because Mando's so strong, Boba was able to survive without the maximum amount of scrutiny. Yeah. But anyway, I've also been watching. I just started watching. Was it the Miss? It's anime Misfit of Demon Lord Academy. Or
Yes.
something
Oh
like
my God. Like I feel like you read my mind sometimes because I just watched like the first 8 episodes like yesterday.
yeah, I just watched the first 4 this morning. Because my wife had put me onto it. She started watching last night. Yo, that anime is funny. And it looks so corny. My first initial thoughts, and I even talked to her about it. I was like, look, just from the cover, I think in my book this is gonna be like a tier C anime with a
Uh huh.
potential, but it's probably gonna drop to D. I'm pretty sure. I was pleasantly surprised when it started off B and is trying to go up. The last story that I just watched threw me through a loop because I hated one character and then I realized what they were doing in the next episode, and I was like, okay, that was really clever, and you definitely had me fooled. And I see how this is pushing, but okay, so yeah, that's definitely a really fun one. Spy Family, I will never not recommend Spy Family.
Yeah, I've only heard good things about it.
Last week's episode was great. The week before it, Bazooka Bill, if you know what I'm talking about, Bazooka Bill cracks me up. I've rewatched that episode so many damn times. Just a big ass kid. That's really
Right.
the joke on that one. And I've also been watching Legendary on HBO Max. I don't know if you guys know about that show. It's
Mm-mm.
a like ballroom competition reality show. So if you
Ballroom.
so if you watched shows like Pose, where they do voguing and they
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's a competition like that. Megan the Stallion is one of the judges. You have uh, Jamila, Jamila, Jamila,
Oh,
Jamila.
from The Good Place.
Yes. She's the executive producer on that. And you have a couple other icons in the ballroom world, and they have all these houses that come and they're competing for it's like $100,000. But the amount of choreography and on the spot creativity that goes into it, and just the way that the whole show is shot, I think it's gorgeous, and it's such a great time with a lot of energy, a lot of good vibes to it, and a lot of good lessons. Um, yeah, on the playing side, Destiny 2, I did jump back into that. Finally bought Witch Queen, and I'm slowly getting the light up, doing one little mission at a time. Uh, and then, oh, on Game Pass, I played Space Lines from the Far Out. Have you guys seen that one?
Uh.
Space Lines from the Far Out. When I first started playing this game and understood what it was, basically the whole concept is it's not that you run an airline, you run a space line. And it's a commercial space line where you have to go from one side of the galaxy to the next. You have to manage your fuel, you have to navigate around asteroids, comets, meteor showers. And in the vein of Overcooked, but it's not as
Okay.
difficult where you're going to sabotage your teammates as often. Just by
It's a multiplayer thing.
yeah, you can play up to 4 people on this, and you customize like the colors of your airlines and the logos and actually the name of it. It kind of like randomizes. You can go through it, and it's really cool. You customize your ship. You have to insure it just in case it blows up, unless you want to get a different model. It's cool. It's like a roguelike kind of deal. My only problem, because I even talked about it in the Discord. I don't know if you guys saw. I talked about it in the Discord once. I said, "Yo, this game is really fun." Right after I got into it, I I promise you, 2 days later, I beat the whole game. Mad as hell. Mad as
Oh, those are very, very small. Is it like replayable at all?
like once you beat it once, because it's so hard to beat the first time. And I'm not gonna say it's like that difficult, but like once you get the flow of it and you're like, okay, I know what to do. I beat this first big boss. Credits, and you're just like, huh?
Oh wow.
I
Mm.
wanted so much more. Like the my friend that I was playing with, I was talking to him. I was like, "Look, I want this and that when we get to the next level, and we're gonna make sure we do this and that and that." Like we're planning for the next level beyond this. Had no idea this is the end of the game. Completely disappointed. But the initial gameplay is so dang fun. I really wish that game was longer. So I'm gonna be looking out for more games from those along those lines. But it was way too short. So that disappointed me.
Dang.
Yeah. Last but not least, I'm playing a
Okay.
game on my phone called Overcrowded. It's like a amusement park management game, like tycoon kind of deal.
Oh okay.
Sure.
Yeah, you got to watch a lot of ads and stuff like that if you're trying to get the premium currency. But overall, it's I think it's pretty good. It's pretty detailed. You actually like customize the layout of this pretty well, and you have to control the flow of your customers coming in to lead them to either food stands or different attractions, and you have to close down attractions to make them bigger and different things like that. So um, it's been a lot of fun so far, and I think it was just noteworthy. I'm trying to, and I've said this before, I'm trying to recognize more of the mobile games that I played because I do spend a lot of time on them, and people do put a lot of work into them. So, yeah. Oh, and Diablo Immortal, I just started it, and I'm impressed. We're gonna talk about it later. So,
Yeah, that's one of our full on topics. So yeah, we'll definitely get into that. But if that does it for you, I can go next. Or Yokina Cat, you got some stuff you want to share with the class?
The class.
Oh, I think you're muted right now, Cat.
Okay. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you
Okay,
now. Yeah.
Okay. Hi everyone. So as far as watching, kind of like what I talked about last time, Sigma on your last show, I'm not really much of a TV watcher, but I do have specific things that I do like to watch. Um, I watched the first episode of Stranger Things, and I'm probably gonna catch some flack for this, but I'm not really into it. That's just my
Oh
own
no.
personal
Like season
I'm
one,
not.
episode 1. You're saying you watched?
Yeah, season 1, episode 1.
Okay.
So I'm like, it's the very first time I've ever seen it. So I was just I was like, let me give it a try. I wasn't really, I'm gonna give it like a few more episodes, but to be honest, I really wasn't into it. And then another show that I just started was The Boys on Amazon Prime. Um, I, I,
Not
not
feeling
really,
it.
not feeling it. No, I'm trying to give all these other shows a chance, but I
Okay.
guess maybe it's just not my taste. I'll probably try to give that one a few more episodes as well. Like for a lot of shows, you really can't base it off like the very first episode.
That's
So,
true.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and give it a few more episodes. As far as manga, I want to read Spy Family before I watch the anime because I've heard a lot of really good things about the anime. So, I love to read the mangas. So, I bought the first one, so I'm gonna read it, and then also I'm rereading through Attack on Titan. I'm a rereader. Uh,
No, that's fair.
so yeah, I'm gonna read.
A lot of time has passed.
Yeah, so I think I'm on volume 19 right now of Attack on Titan. So still kind of like in the beginning, the beginning or the beginning part of the manga. So playing, I finished It Takes Two this weekend.
Nice.
Nice, yeah.
I absolutely love that game. I think it's and at first I was like, no, I don't want to play it. I don't play it. My friend's like, just get it, okay. So we ended up playing it together and I just fell in love with that game. Also, of course, my staples of Tekken and Apex Legends. So of course I'm still playing those. I'm actually replaying through Resident Evil 4. Ever since they
Announced the remake.
yes, and it looks really good. So I hope it still has that same.
What version are you replaying?
On the PS4.
PS4. Okay.
So yeah, I do have it on my GameCube as well. And I actually found my GameCube memory card. So, but I'm playing it on. Yeah, yeah.
Does that still work? Like,
it does.
Can you like put it in and see like the blocks and whatever in it?
Yeah, it still works. So I'm replaying through that. The new one looks really, really good. I hope it has. I don't know if anyone remembers playing it on the GameCube when it first came out, like the comedic banter between Ashley and Leon. When it came to a lot of stuff.
Far.
You never got that far?
Yeah, because I tried it on GameCube and like in that first village where all the zombies are like chasing you, like I got through that section and just felt like I don't want to play this anymore. And then I did the same thing when they re-released it on the Wii. Like I tried it again, like, oh, everyone loves this game. Let me see what I'm missing. And like again, I just didn't want to play after that. I was like, this isn't for me. I've never really been big on Resident Evil.
It's probably one of my favorite Resident Evil games. And I think, and I've said it before, like I think it really showed what the GameCube was capable of as far as like graphics and gameplay.
Yeah, true. That kind of knocked out of parts that game.
And other stuff like that. It showed like, hey, this is what this system could really do. So, I'm hoping that it still has some of the same feel as far as like the interaction between the characters, but as far as the way it looks beautiful. So, I'm really excited about that. But other than that, I'm not really just still trying to complete my sphere grid on Final Fantasy X and. It's kicking my butt. So, but as far as watching, yeah, I tried Stranger Things, The Boys. I'm probably gonna catch a lot of flack for this too, but I just started Invincible.
Okay.
And I like it.
How you gonna catch?
Yeah.
Oh, you thought you thought you'd catch flack for saying you liked it?
No. I just started. So, yeah. So I'm a little late to the. The only thing I really I had to catch up. The only thing that I really do keep up with as far as like watching is anime. So, but when it comes to like other shows, like I kind of see what people are saying like in the open party Discord, and then I'll look like on Twitter, and I'm like, all right, I'll give it a chance, or I'll give it a shot. But that's pretty much what's going on in over here.
Okay. If I can say one thing
No.
about The Boys in defense of it,
The boys.
the first episode can be kind of like jarring, like
It is
because the tone of that show is like a lot more like in your face and mature
Yeah.
than maybe you've expected if you've watched like a lot of other superhero centric media. So I would say like it tries to set that tone early on, and it can definitely push people away.
I think, and maybe it's so my personality. I don't really, when it comes to that kind of stuff, I'm just kind of like,
Yeah.
okay. And then like I see people on Twitter talking about, oh my god, season 2 is insane, and they're out of pocket season 2.
Oh, season 2
And-
started off like
and-
that, and I was just
and-
like,
So it's like if people are saying that about season 2, like why would I continue to watch it if it's probably just continuously going to be like that in my and teach their own. So, but I'll give it a few more episodes and see if it
Yeah, like
catches.
that. I'm the same way. Like I'll watch something first episode, be like, oh, this is kind of trash. But then be like, well, there's a lot of pilots that are kind of just not hitting, and like it takes like maybe 2 or 3 more episodes to kind of find its footing.
I
Did
would
not do
say
that for Supergirl though. I thought that show was god awful from episode 1 and just never went back.
I would say the one show or anime that I from the very first episode I was like hooked was Never
What?
Promised Land. And
oh, okay.
so like
Right.
because I'm like, oh, it's a anime about, and I need to go back. I want to. This is like the time I've watched the anime before I read the manga. But I was like, so yeah, just watch it. I was like, it's a bunch of kids at an orphanage. Like, what is it? But then I don't want to. It's a spoiler alert. Sorry.
You don't
But, like,
spoil it, but
But there's that one
It's been
part,
out for 6
and
years.
y'all know that one episode in the first episode when she's taking that girl to go get her teddy bear, and then like from there when she pulls back that curtain, I was like, what the heck is going on? And then from there, I was hooked. I haven't seen season 2. I heard that it's super disappointing.
yeah, I've heard they dropped the ball completely on that.
Yeah, so I'm a little afraid to watch season 2, but I'm probably gonna dive into that as well. But I would probably say The Promised Neverland is probably the one anime or show that from like the very first episode I was like, yeah. I binged watched it in like 2 days.
Oh, dang.
The
Oh,
first
wow.
season, yeah. So but
Respect.
I digress.
Well, Coning A Loves All is asking, did you vibe with Watchmen? Like the HBO series Watchmen.
Or the movie.
Yeah, and then
you.
'cause I love
You'll
the
keep it cat.
I love the graphic novel. So I loved the HBO series of Watchmen.
Yeah, the HBO series Watchmen was fantastic, and
Yes.
I really hope they get another season or there's another. Yeah, I really hope that they get to continue that because that was.
Yeah. The back and forth.
I don't like Tribe.
I kind of feel like that series is done. Like they told
Yeah.
that story.
But there's other
So-
stories in that universe to tell too. So
I guess.
I don't.
no,
like
I'm telling you, it's a
Trevor.
fact.
Well, I'm not gonna listen to you then. That means that's pretty much that simple. John Wamba also says season 2 is fantastic, referring to The Boys because they have a literal Nazi in it. I'm gonna say John Wamba. I don't know if that's a selling point.
Actually a Nazi. They're actors. But on top of that.
But noted. Okay, so that wraps things up for Yokina Cat. I'll go last. I've been playing a variety of things, some for work that I can't talk about yet. But there's some stuff last week that I couldn't talk about that I can talk about now. I was doing a preview for a game called Steel Rising. You guys might have seen a trailer for this. It takes place during the French Revolution, but it's like these robotic creatures. It's like an alternate French Revolution where like they have these androids and robots that have been basically repurposed, like they were like servants for like the ruling class or whatever, but they've been now repurposed by the king, Louis the 16th, to quell the peasants who are now rebelling against the French monarchy.
Peasants. Always rebellion.
But you play as a very special automat, they call them, the robot species, who can talk and who can like make like she's gaining sentience, so like she can make her own decisions and she can like talk to people as well. And it's a really interesting setting, but it's Dark Souls inspired in terms of its gameplay, and it's kind of cool. Like there's lots of weapons to choose from. There's like cool combos, and like apparently like the character you play, whose name is Aegis, was a dancer for the court before this revolution took place. So now that she's been outfitted with weapons and such, like she uses dance moves to like attack you. Like she'll have like fans and like she'll do like spins and like lunges and like really super acrobatic styled combos and stuff. So like the animations and like the robots and stuff, like it all looks really cool. Like the flow of all the animations. And I'm interested in the story, but like that part wasn't really showcased a lot. So I don't know how deep they actually get in terms of the plot that they're telling. Because right now it seems like, oh yes, we're in this setting, the French Revolution. So like the environment looks old timey and whatnot, but you and all the enemies that populate that space are very fantastical, and like it's kind of a mismatch in my eyes. So like I just they need a way to kind of make it a little bit more cohesive.
Hey Sigma, I don't know. Like when you said that she was a dancer for the court, and now like they've outfitted her with like weapons, and she does all these dance moves. Do y'all remember? This is probably it's my guilty pleasure game, but do y'all remember a game called Space Channel 5?
Yes, that Sega game was like a rhythm thing.
Yes, it was like a rhythm game, but she was a news reporter and she would dance to save like the universe. She had to dance and to like defeat these aliens. So when you said that she was a dancer for the court and now they've outfitted her with like all these really cool weapons, it just that automatically just popped into my head. I was like, oh, like Space Channel 5 vibes. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's funny when you mentioned that. What popped into my head was Jabaro. Is that how you say it?
Jabaro.
The short from Love, Death, and Robots.
Oh.
Harpy, or is it Harpy or the oh my Siren? She was a siren. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Oh my gosh, yo, intense. Please watch that. It sounds a lot of what you're talking about. Definitely not using the fans, but the dance mixed with violence is apparent in that short. That one, you've probably seen pictures on your timeline about it.
Yeah, it was dealing with like early Taino people, so like Puerto Rican people. It was telling that how the Spaniards came over and that type of stuff. So you'll see she's like real decked out and like.
I think I might have seen that image like in social media. That's like from the newest season?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know you see
Okay.
that. There's no way you can avoid
Okay. I think I've seen that all over social media. So yeah, I definitely want to check that out soon. But speaking of me catching up on stuff, or rather, let me finish the video game stuff. Like I reviewed TMNT Shredder's Revenge, and we've been playing it a lot. We actually played it for game night last night. Jeff helped us out. He was with us for like the over 2-hour stream because we tried to beat that whole game until my internet crapped out. But that game is really fun. Like I grew up playing the Ninja Turtles games and watching the Ninja Turtles cartoons or whatever, and it's pulled, like it's basically an homage to exactly that time period, like the 80s where the cartoon was airing and like the 90s where those games were like the most popular beat 'em ups in the arcade and whatnot. So there's all these callbacks to that stuff. Like you can like body slam enemies back and forth like you could in Turtles in Time. You can like grab them and throw them like towards the screen. Yeah, like so just all this familiar stuff. They even had an homage like Baxter Stockman, who's like the big fly scientist enemy. Like he's the first level in Turtles in Time. So like if you were in the arcade, even if you were bad at it, you would usually at least make it to the first boss and you would go up against him. He's not the first boss in this game, but when you get to him, he has a lot of the same moves and they play the same music that's on that first stage. So like all of that kind of just hits your nostalgia receptors. Whatever. So like it's a fun time, but it is still kind of very much a 90s game.
Mm-hmm.
Like the couple of things that they add to it are like side quests, quote unquote, where you break a garbage can or you break a door in the background and then someone's like, oh, find me 5 diaries, find me 3 newspapers. And then as you're going through the levels, as you're breaking everything in sight, here's a newspaper, here's a diary. So it's not really all that involved. It's like a fetch quest, but like the most basic version of a fetch quest even. So like it doesn't add anything to the game. There is some upgrading, but again, like as you progress, you're just beating up guys, you're getting points, and it's like, all right, now you get a second super meter. Now you get the ability to use your super when you jump in the air or whatnot, and like that's kind of it in terms of new abilities. Like you have pretty much the whole kit at the start, but I kind of like it because like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World did this, where like as you level up the specific character, they get new unique moves that are just for them, like which makes them feel different from everybody else. Like this game doesn't have that. Everyone has exactly the same moveset, even though they have different animations that are unique to their personalities. All the buttons still do the exact same things for every character, and it makes them feel less unique. But overall, it is fun. Like if you were looking for just that same 90s arcade experience, like that's exactly what this is. But like I don't know, I've been exposed to stuff like Sifu, which is like to me, Sifu is what a beat 'em up should be today. Like they actually advanced the genre of the beat 'em up. And games like Turtles are they're just reminders of the past. Like, can I get a Turtles game that moves forward? That's my only ding against it. But like, as for what they were going for, like a recreation of the '90s stuff, like they definitely knocked it out of the park.
I think that's been
a lot of fun.
Probably the most popular Turtle game in a while, though. The ones they were trying to do that were progressing, they weren't doing as well. Like Turtles
the 3D
Shadows.
Yeah, that was like a 3D action.
Thing. They done a couple of like more up to date beat 'em ups, but they weren't doing anything from. I think this is probably the most successful one. The one I will say about this though is like 6 players was fun. I feel like the game should have like done things to separate you, like drop 3 players here, drop 3 players over there, stuff like that to make it less. Stuff like that would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, like just kind of anything to like not be so samey, but like I get what they were going for. They were trying to make the thing that people remember. And if you change too much, then folks are gonna be like, "Oh, I don't like it. It's too different." Yeah. But it's good for what it is. John Long said, "I found out Turtles in Time was remade as the Hyperstone Heist. Same music, different levels, like the Disney games for SNES/Genesis. I played the latter. I don't think I knew that they had a remade version. I'm gonna look that up and see what's in that, if anything." But outside of that, at Jeff's suggestion for many, many weeks, I finally caught up and finished all of Young Justice. I took a break from that show.
I'm sorry, no,
because
continue, sorry.
Yeah, I took a break from that show because the start of season 3, like it had a very long hiatus from when it got kind of canceled and then brought back. But then the new season 3, started off with like a bunch of new characters. And honestly, I think I was in my feelings about the fact that the previous season 2, ended on such a cliffhanger with all the heroes you know and love. For them to kind of come back after all this time and not focus on that, I was just very uninterested in those newer heroes. So I rewatched it from the beginning up to now, and I wasn't as harsh feeling about that 3rd season anymore. But the stuff that follows it after, like Jeff, you're absolutely right.
I'm
like they completely do like a.
I'm just taking notes. So you keep saying this, right?
No, go ahead.
Right. On what day is this? Keep going.
They did a complete. Yeah, Jeff was right. No, they did a complete U-turn in that the focus changes from kind of all your regular superhero stuff onto very personal stories. Like, yes, these characters are superheroes and they live these fantastical lives and deal with these fantastical world-ending problems. But this character has a son who has autism, and she has to deal with that. This character is trying to find out about what religion means to them. This character is dealing with straight up depression and like drug abuse. And it's like, and they handle it so maturely. Like it's done so well. Like everyone is talking about there are specific characters who bring up the fact that like mental health is important. And like as a group, we need to take this more seriously and stuff like that. So I was very shocked to see that kind of take center stage in this superhero show.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, almost because of the fact that they went that hard on like the super personal stories, they kind of did let the fantastical superhero stuff languish in a way that left me a little unsatisfied. Like, because a bunch of stuff happened. Like, yes, they're getting more introspective with these characters, but like they're still dealing with like universe-ending threats, and they kind of skip over a lot of important details to kind of get the story moving to where they want it to. And like I'd literally go from one episode to the next and be like, did we miss something? Like, cause I'm watching with my fiance, I'm like did something, like when did this happen? Like they would just kind of catch you up on stuff that they never actually showed you because they were moving that fast in the plot. So like I will say I did feel a little underwhelmed by like the superhero side of the story after they decided to focus so much on the personal stuff, because they do wrap up a lot of the personal stuff in kind of neat bows. I won't say like everyone gets a happy ending, but like they do kind of like, okay, this is a problem, and then this is how you deal with that problem, and not necessarily the more nuanced approach of, well, this is the thing that people deal with, get used to it, which a lot of other shows that deal in this kind of thing, they like the gray area more than like the happy ending. You know what I mean? But overall, great season. Cannot wait for the next one because like there's still a lot of stuff going on that's unresolved in that show. So I'm hoping like they have the money and the funding or the fervor, I guess, from the studios to like keep making more because
now
that show's doing well.
Now you can't go into details, but I'm just curious of what you thought of that last little spin, that last little turn of events. Like when the show was over, everything came to a conclusion, and somebody thought they were going to do something, and turns to find out somebody had planned something else all along. Like, were you as like? I was shocked that happened. I had an inkling, but I wasn't sure. I thought, this person was going to go away, and maybe something was going to happen another day or something like that. Like, were you equally as surprised at that turn of events?
I think that was a really cool twist at the end, but like I don't think I was surprised. I think it was smart for them to kind of get rid of that character because they kind of introduced a lot. Like they introduced so much in like the last couple of episodes of that last season that it felt overwhelming. So it was like, can we dial this back some?
That's because some of that is based on it assuming you have certain knowledge of. It didn't do a lot to, which I'm glad it did it, where it goes in and explains all these people and tells you where all these people came from and what's going on with these people and all their origins and stuff like that. I like that it just assumed that you knew certain things, and if you didn't, you were gonna go and look that up. Like, I love that when a show doesn't do that. Sometimes I feel like there's too much of that. Let's give you because then people complain like, oh, well, they spent so much time explaining this. They spent so much time going over this backstory. Like with what was that, Dune, where they felt like the first movie was just like an introduction of all these people.
I mean, it was.
So you're never gonna make everybody happy, but a good show will introduce something, and if you're interested about it, a lot of people will go and do the research on, oh, well, who was that, or what was going on with that. Like, I feel like taking the time to explain everything kind of draws it out and also takes away from it.
I would push back against that a little bit to say, if that's the case, like if it's gonna take this long to explain everything to your audience, then maybe don't put that much in at once. Like they could have used like maybe half those characters or half those scenarios to then let them breathe more so that you would get all the context. Because like me, I don't read any of the comics and stuff. Like I know a lot about Superman and the Justice League and stuff from other cartoons and stuff that I've watched. But like if they're gonna get like into the real deep cuts, like kind of fill me in here because I'm just watching the show.
Well, in their offense, that the stuff that they covered isn't very deep. Like, it's not a spoiler, but like New Genesis and stuff, that stuff isn't very like.
No, that's come on now. Like I know about the new gods and all that jazz, and
like,
but like I don't think a lot of other people do. Like my fiance is sitting right next to me, like she definitely doesn't know anything about that stuff.
Does she know who Darkseid is?
No, she didn't know who Darkseid was.
And Darkseid's one of the biggest villains. So of course, if she didn't know who Darkseid is, she's not gonna know who anybody from New Genesis is.
The show standalone should take the responsibility to fill in their viewers on what they need to know.
I'm opposite. I feel like some things don't need to be explained because when you
write a story,
I feel like there's a certain same thing with a game. There's a certain skill level, right? If I have to tell you how to use a controller and you're going in to play this real like detailed,
but every game strategy, does tell you the controls.
No. I mean, not like that. Not like that. I mean, like,
it's in the game. It's built in. That's the product.
Most games, when you go to play, they go in. Some of them go with assuming you have a certain knowledge of certain things, right?
No, you're right. Yeah, certain genres will assume that the player base knows certain things.
When Loki and stuff like that, there were certain things that just weren't going into Loki. It was assumed you knew things that happened in the other.
I disagree.
I don't.
I disagree.
I don't.
The first episode of Loki literally has a highlight reel of like they sit down in a room and they show you
stuff in the highlight reel that you know, meaning you have a basic knowledge.
No, it's not. It's showing it to you over again. They're showing you literal scenes from those other movies, so they're definitely not assuming you know.
Let me ask you a question. So they show you a scene from Thor, and they show Loki stabbing Hawkeye. You just see that scene. You have no knowledge of comics, really. Are you gonna know what's going on in that scene, even though they're showing it to you?
No, but if
So that's
two
the
dudes
same
literally
thing.
explain what is on the screen
Yeah.
as this is.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
Okay.
Owen Wilson literally sits down and tells Loki, like, "Hey, remember when you did this?
No.
You thought this about that. Remember when you did this?
That
You
wasn't
thought
the
this
first
about
episode.
that."
That wasn't the first episode.
What episode was
The
that?
first
Then? Like
episode
the
they were
second?
doing a
Because
recap. The first episode they were doing a recap of stuff that happened up until then. That's not the same thing of Owen Wilson going over Loki's life and all his biggest failures and stuff like that, and kind of trying to get him to come to a conclusion of, you know.
I mean, but the point is, they did take the time to catch up the audience.
No, not everything. Some
But
things.
you don't need everything.
That's true. That's what I'm saying. And New Genesis, I feel like knowing about Darkseid is like level 1 information, or no,
But
level
it's
2.
not.
It is.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
So,
Not level 1.
Blue, do you know?
Like level 1 information
I
is
know about
Superman's weakness is kryptonite.
No.
Superman's
no.
worst enemy is Lex Luthor.
No.
And then that's kind of it.
I feel like Darkseid, there's Lex Luthor, then there's Darkseid. That's like level 2 information. Anything.
I don't know.
Above
Guys,
it.
sound off in the chat.
I'm just
I don't
saying,
know.
I'm just saying. I digress.
Yeah, Sir George Lucas says Obi-Wan started with a reminder of everything that took place in the prequels.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you don't know what's going on in those shots, you're not gonna know. Does that
Yes,
make
you
sense? Like,
are.
you don't know who these people are. If
But
you
that's
don't know
the purpose of
if you
it.
don't know
That's
who
why.
Qui-Gon is or Darth Maul is, and you see him in those flashbacks. That's not gonna help you. It's kind of the same thing.
Yes, it is. They talk
So if I
about
show
it.
you a picture of cookies and you're like, "I've never seen cookies before. What's
It's
that?"
not a picture,
It's not gonna
that's
help
a
you.
recap video.
Yeah, like you're pretending as if there's no context for what they're showing you. It's a recap. They're literally telling you these events happened.
Yes, but it doesn't tell you who these people are.
Yes, it does.
No.
Yes, it
says,
does.
"Oh, this is Darth Maul." It says his name in there.
Bro, it tells you what you need to know. If anybody talks about
Yeah, you don't need to know Darth Maul's name
Right.
in that context. All you need to know is Qui-Gon's master.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Obi-Wan's master. You don't even know Qui-Gon's name. All you need to know is Obi-Wan's master was killed
Right.
during this
all you
moment
need.
in time,
Exactly.
and then he became responsible for
Exactly.
Anakin. That's it. That's all you need to know.
My point exactly. So if you watch the other,
So if you say nothing,
finish.
like if you say nothing, like Justice, like
Well,
Young Justice
if you
did
watch
about
the
New Genesis,
other
then you're gonna be
seasons-
lost.
If you watch the other seasons of Young Justice, you would know who Darkseid is.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, you
Darkseid does not appear.
Yes, he does.
I literally
He
just
showed
rewatched it,
season
dude.
3, season 2, and season 3. He's working with the light. He's working with Vandal Savage.
Yeah,
they have
you get
pact.
a glimpse of him,
That's season
but
3
you
that
don't
they're
know.
talking.
But you don't know who he is.
I feel like
Like I knew who he was because I know history on Darkseid. They show that character. They don't explain to you who he is.
like I said, I feel like that's basic knowledge. They shouldn't have to explain each person. But we can disagree.
Hey,
We can
if
agree to disagree.
multiple people are telling you that is not basic knowledge.
Do you know who he is?
Like you're a comic fan. Like you've read about all these characters. So how can you say to the people who don't
I feel like-
that it's basic knowledge?
In order, if you go into something like that, trying to explain, because then they would have to explain some of the most obtuse characters, like Lady Shiva. Did you know who she was?
No, and they don't really explain
They
her.
don't. I feel like that's something that they don't need to do. For me, here's the good. For me, they don't need to.
That's
That's
because
more.
you
Of
know all
a,
the
that's
comments.
more. That's more of an obscure character. I feel like Darkseid,
Jeff, have you read the
Lady
comics?
Shiva. They could have explained a little bit
Have
more.
have you read about Lady Shiva?
No,
You've never read about Lady Shiva?
never,
I call BS.
never, never.
Like they,
Shiva-
like even in the earlier seasons, because you're right, they do a lot of assumption in terms of like the characters that show up, and some are more popular than others for sure. But like even more popular characters, they don't really explain who Bane is when he shows up. Like you just know who Bane is,
Yeah, I mean,
and they kind of they take that to infinitely more obtuse characters.
Right.
Like who was the stranger, Jeff?
you don't know
like
who
that-
the stranger is?
This black man with a mask shows up, all gravelly voiced, talking mad trash to everybody.
Oh, the stranger
He has
is
a
one of the
trench coat. He goes like this, and and people teleport.
He's one of the
I have
quintess-
no idea who that man is.
he's
They
one of
explain nothing about
One
him.
of the quintessence of the universe. Okay.
All right, we're gonna move on now.
Just
We're
let
not
me
gonna
know.
get.
I can see that part. I can see that. Okay. But this is more of like the 4th season, I feel like had more there for people who didn't understand who all the characters were, but also
Mm-hmm.
the show is geared towards people who have a certain knowledge of these characters.
I mean, I can see that. Yeah, it's for a more hardcore fan, sure. Like maybe that's who their target is.
But the real
But
life stuff did help to close that gap. I feel like people kind of seeing some of that stuff.
yeah, like yeah, if you don't care so much about the
Right.
comic half, this is just good storytelling, point blank, period.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I see that. But that went on a little longer than I intended. We'll go ahead and move on to our topics proper. First up, Avatar: The Last Airbender universe. They a while ago they announced that they were going to have a new animation studio that's just going to pump out Avatar content. Yay, hooray! 3 new movies are rumored to be coming out. The first of which is a prequel story that follows Avatar Kyoshi. She was the most recent Earth Avatar before Aang entered the picture. A movie that focuses on Zuko, I'm assuming after the events of The Last Airbender. And then the last one is another movie focused on Korra. And I want to put a bunch of grains of salt in this information because it is rumors. Like, it's been sort of verified by this person talking to sources. But all we really know is that these events focus on these timelines and not necessarily the specific characters. Like, it's more than likely it'll focus on these particular characters. But, like, for example, the Korra series is a story in that timeline. So more than likely, since Korra is the Avatar during that timeline, it'll probably focus on her after the events of the series. So my question to you guys is, how do you feel about more animated Avatar movies? Are any of these exciting to you? Or do you think they maybe should have tried to start things off by exploring different areas?
I think as the baby Avatar fan who just finished watching it, first of all, was it Roku before Aang? And then it was
Yeah, the most recent Earth Avatar.
okay,
Avatar
okay.
Roku is the Firebender.
No, you're right. You're right.
Right,
Okay,
yeah.
see, I'm a baby, right? I'm a baby.
Yeah, because it's a cycle. Like each Avatar
Right.
will be born into whatever nation in a cycle.
It's
And
supposed to be Earth,
funnily
right?
enough, the way they have the movies is in the Avatar cycle. Like
Awesome.
starting with Earth, Fire, and then Water. So if there's a fourth one, it would probably be about maybe a new Airbender. I'd be kind of a new Airbender Avatar, so I'd be excited about that.
Yep.
But yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on this?
I'm just gonna go in order, I guess. With Kyoshi, I always loved how they talked about Kyoshi. She was like, you know what? I kill people, and that's okay, because I get things done. That's what Kyoshi was about. So I'm excited to see her and her gangsters just run around town and make things happen. Zuko. Now, Free Comic Book Day, I went and grabbed one of these books right here.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And this
Yes,
is
I was
the
just about to talk
third.
about that one.
Yeah,
Yes.
I really hope they go into this. I haven't read it yet. This is one of those things, when you're an adult, you just buy things and you don't do them. But
I don't want to spoil for you then.
yeah, please don't spoil it for me. But the subject of this is Zuko, Team Avatar, and even Azula going out to look for their mom, which is a huge mystery that's been kind of left out.
Right.
That they never touched on. Yeah.
Exactly. So I hope, and with the image that they have on a lot of these articles about this, they show Zuko with the Fire Lord crown. So I'm hoping and thinking that I hope that they actually touch on this story. Maybe it's him as Fire Lord remembering this surge. I don't know what this could be, but I do hope that this story gets touched because his mom is a huge mystery that we don't know too much about.
Right.
And lastly, with Korra, I am so happy that she's getting a second look no matter what, because she deserves all the love in the world after all the hate that she
Yeah,
got.
there's a lot of hate in the world for Korra.
Oh my gosh. I saw it online before I watched it and I was like, dang, was it really that bad? And so I go through and watch it. I'm like, you people are evil. Like
they trip
Yo.
it.
Yeah.
And then I read how it got canceled. I'm like, they did her so dirty. So I'm so happy to see Korra get any kind of spotlight. And I'm glad they're kind of doing her last two, not because she's the least important, but if anything, the opposite, they have a lot to build on and get feedback on to make the Korra movie or the Korra production, whatever it is, the best it can be for today's audience. So I'm really excited about all 3 of these, to be honest with you. And I hope that these rumors are true, and I hope that they keep the quality and storytelling that they have been in all their series so far.
Respect.
Same. Anybody else got thoughts on?
Oh, me.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll do the same as Blue. I'll go like by I guess like the element cycle. Really excited for Avatar as well. Kind of like what's in heads. So she has that mentality of run up, get done up. So I'm really excited to see what they do with her story. Maybe they'll dive more into how she was as, because in the first Avatar they talk about how, she killed that king. What was that guy? The guy that basically she didn't kill him. He basically was too stubborn to move, and he fell off the rock.
I'll do it again.
I'll do it again.
She didn't see a difference. Like, you're saying I didn't really kill him. I don't see the difference. I would have killed him. And then when Aang was trying to ask all the past avatars for like guidance, he goes, "I knew I shouldn't have asked Kyoshi. Like, she's just gonna tell me you gotta do what I gotta do." So I'm really excited to see if they dive more into like her personal life, how she was, not only as like the avatar, but how she what her life was like. So I'm really excited about that one. And then for the Zuko movie, even though it's going to be centered, like you said, the rumors, even though it's going to be centered around Zuko, I really hope they kind of touch on the other people in the Aang gang, like Toph, and like we really don't know what happens to Sokka, Suki, and all these other people. So even obviously they're not the vocal points of that movie, I'm hoping it kind of gives you some type of idea of where they were at, like I guess post Avatar: Last Airbender. So I was actually really gonna bring up say great minds think alike, Blue. So I was gonna bring up The Search. So since he hasn't read it, I won't spoil it. But I agree. Like I really, really hope they touch on that because it is because even at the end of Avatar: Last, he goes, "Where is my mother? Like where is she?" So I think maybe that's where they'll start off. If this is true, maybe at that point they'll start off. I think that makes sense.
At least be a nod to
that
story. Yeah.
So I think the Zuko movie, if these are all true, I think that's the one that I'm looking the most forward to, is the Zuko movie. As Korra, I had to when I first watched The Legend of Korra, I was not a fan of Korra as an avatar, but I went back and rewatched it, and I have to agree, Sigma, like people are giving her a lot of hate for no reason. So like I think I think it's great. I think she's a great avatar, and I really hope, they did do her dirty in the show. They really did. So I'm really hoping that, I don't want to necessarily say redeeming because she doesn't need to redeem herself, but I hope they redeem themselves and telling her story. So I'm just a huge Avatar fan. My cat's name is Sokka. So when I saw this when I saw that this may be something that's possible, I guess it's called Avatar Studios, right? The new studio that's going to be putting out like all this Avatar content. So I'm really excited. So I'm hoping that it's all true. But that's all my 2 cents on it. Yeah.
How about you, Jeff? You excited, or you a hater like usual?
Just like, don't act like I didn't say yip yip at the beginning of this podcast.
Exactly. Kind of trying to discount me. No, I mean I'll kind of go in the same order. I mean I feel like Kyoshi I'm interested in. Obviously because that's where the Kyoshi warriors come from. I'm interested to see how they get established. Like
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so it's
that's her cool legacy. That's
right.
Alive for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I kind of want to see what happens to the Cabbage Man. Like, where did he go? Like, what happened to him and his cabbages? That's what I really want to know. He is a vocal point. Well, what about his family? Did his legacy continue on in a family of cabbage growers?
Right.
There is a legacy there. He has a company in Korra, like cabbage company.
Yeah, but I want to go in depth. I want an in-depth story about his family. What's going on with him, man? He's such an integral
a Succession style story about the Cabbage Corporation.
Yes.
I love Succession so much.
He is such an integral part. He's an integral part of Avatar: Last Airbender, and I don't care what anybody says.
You know what? I want to know what happened.
He got arrested in Korra because they were hiding the stuff in the Cabbage Core warehouses.
Right.
They snuck it into there and got arrested. So I don't know what happens after that.
I need a follow up. I need a follow up.
Yeah.
I want to know what happened to the guy who, when Aang would show up in the village, he would just start screaming and then like start foaming at the mouth. I want to know what happened to him and his lineage. Like, let's go down that path.
But yeah, Kyoshi, I think that's gonna be very interesting. Like you said, she was more of a she does what needs to be done. but understanding how she came to be that person is gonna be what I'm
Yes.
interested in. How she became to be that. We got to do what we got to do. You know, it's our responsibility to take over. And I think he found a way out. I don't think he was the only one I think that knew how to take someone's bending away. Besides, like the first bender, his name was Juan, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Juan.
Juan.
He
So
was
yeah, he was ridiculous.
a
So
mess.
yeah.
A whole mess.
And then Zuko's movie, I'm also in the same mind. I want to see what happens to the other characters. Sokka is one of my favorite characters, and I feel like he didn't get his payoff till the end of the series. So I want to see the swordsman he becomes because his
Yes.
master was so versatile. Like he was able to fight benders with no problem, like stuff like that. Like I want to see the person he becomes. They touch on it in Korra, but you don't get to. He doesn't. They don't talk about him much.
I don't flesh it out. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
like you don't get to understand what happened to him after the events of the last Airbender. Like you see Aang, you see obviously you see oh my god Katara, you see her, like you see Toph, but they don't talk about Sokka. Like you don't understand what happened
Yeah.
with Sokka. And to me, like I said,
That is a big mystery.
like he doesn't get his payoff until the end of the series, where he becomes, because that was his whole thing. He wanted to be useful the entire series. Everyone
He
had their bending,
was.
right?
Yeah, that's the thing. He was,
He had
but he didn't. It wasn't in a way that was like overt,
Right.
like the rest of the group. But then over, like by the end of the series, you realize how essential he was.
Mhm.
Yes, and then if you notice, he learned the fighting style of each element that he was in. So like when he was in the Fire Nation, he learned from the master there. He learned how to fight with the Kyoshi warriors. He learned how to fight in the Northern Water Tribe. So like
He was defending the Water Tribe by himself.
learned
Mhm.
yes, as a kid, as a
Right.
14-year-old kid. So I think he's just a really important character as well. And I think honestly, I think that is something, if these do come to fruition, I think that is something that people will probably address. And also in the fan fiction world, there's like theories and speculations that Toph's children are actually from Sokka. So like
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, so obviously that's just fan theory that
Replaying it right now.
right.
yeah, that's just fan
Oh my
theory that Sokka and Toph had children, and the children you see in Korra are actually his children. So it's just fan theory. I just thought it's really interesting to bring that up. Like people,
Because Sokka doesn't have kids, right? Like there's not literally just like, oh, Sokka was my dad in the show, right?
We don't know what happened to the Kyoshi warriors either, because he was with what's her name?
Suki.
Yeah.
But there's
Suki,
also
yeah.
there's also a fan theory from my understanding that Suki died very not soon after ended. So I'm not sure if that's things that are going to be addressed, like between
That's rough,
in
man.
the Zuko movie. Yeah, like if that's true, then I would be heartbroken. But I'm just really I'm excited to see where they go with this. And the thing that I've really liked about just Avatar, I know there's a huge debate whether it's a manga or a comic or anime or a cartoon. So whatever you want to say, if you want to say a comic book or a manga, that's on you.
It's
But
both. It's
right.
both.
So the thing that I've just loved about it is how even characters that may not be the main protagonist or the main characters, they've been extremely memorable, or people have grown attached to them. Or for example, Cabbage Guy, like all he said was my cabbages, like, but he's such a loved character. Or like Sigma, the guy that every time the Avatar would show up, he'd freak out and foam at the mouth and then just just fall out. So
it's just a great gag.
I just think it's really, I hope. One thing I do appreciate about the creators is they've tried to keep the integrity of just the storytelling of this universe, I guess, as a whole. Like, for example, with SpongeBob, Steven Hillenburg left after the first movie because he actually wanted that to be the last SpongeBob anything. But obviously, because SpongeBob became so popular, Nickelodeon was like, no, let's just keep going. And as the showrunner, Steven Hillenburg just stepped down. So I'm just really excited that the actual creators of Avatar and the Avatar universe have kept the integrity of art style, just the way the stories are being told. So I'm just really excited. Okay, I'm
Same.
done. Sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. No worries. And then Korra, for me, I actually enjoy Korra. I'm not gonna say I enjoyed it more than the Aang, but I did enjoy it equally. I did feel like Korra had the superior bending in it. I feel like the bending had went
For
to a
sure.
level to
Yeah.
where it was kind of like watching Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fight in
Yes. In the prequel
yeah,
movies.
and then
Yeah.
seeing in the prequels is just like just night and day, right? So it's just
Yeah.
like the advancement of bending was just so, and I love how the advancement of technology started to help close the gap between the two,
Yeah.
where you had people who couldn't bend, but they were quick on their feet. They were able to use technology, and they were able to be useful. So it was a I love it. Like we had new bending styles, like where metal benders were like Toph was the only one. Now we had a whole city full of different people who could bend metal bend and stuff like that.
I love it. I was
Yeah.
gonna say
then,
that.
then you had magma benders, right? We had a bunch of cool, and I love the. It got back to the spirits, right? Where Aang touched on some things like the spirit turtle and stuff like that. This went and grabbed it all and brought it all to the forefront. Um,
Yeah.
and I feel like it also had, while the Fire Lord was a good villain, I feel like he, as far as the build up to him, it wasn't like you saw him a lot and you're like, yeah, he's a great villain. No, he was at the forefront, and the build up to him is what made him a good villain, not necessarily your encounters with him. As to
Mhm.
Korra, you had really good villains. The guy who, uh, the first villain, I don't want to, I don't,
Aman.
yeah, I don't know if
All
this will
of
be a
them kicked
spoiler,
her
right?
ass.
But like, you take the blood, but like, yeah, in mind you, and no offense, well, I can't say no offense, she was a better fighter than Aang was,
100%.
and
100%.
Jump.
and
From
she,
jump.
even at her early age, she was like
Yeah.
7, and she was using all 4 elements, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
Well, 3.
yes, yes. So she was having issues with fighting these people. That lets you know the level that they were on.
Mhm.
Aang was very kind of stumbled through the beginning parts. He could only airbend. You know, he was very elusive, right? He was very quick on his feet. He was thinking outside the box and stuff. But
Like it was like the juxtaposition between their personalities
right,
and
Yeah.
their fight. Like Aang was a monk. He was passive.
Exactly. That's
Like
what I was going to get into.
like he really didn't actually fight
right.
most people. He would avoid them and then like have them trip over their own
Hmm.
force or whatever, right? So, but Korra, like she's headstrong, like personality wise, and she will fight you. Like Korra will throw hands,
Hmm.
and if you go back and forth with other fighters, like you're gonna take hits. Aang doesn't get hit
Yeah.
because that's how he lives his whole
True.
life.
Yeah.
One of the
And the
biggest things is that, Aang didn't want to be Avatar. Korra did
True.
from jump.
Yeah.
That's all she
Right.
wanted to do. And that was part of her struggle. She didn't find herself until way later on, and she really
right.
had to humble herself. And just like you're saying, Jeff, like Aang fought one dude, and granted, he had a whole nation chasing him, but he's used to being chased. Like he can get around this stuff. Korra was fighting gods on a regular basis.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and she's surviving.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, at first when Korra first came out, everyone's like, oh, she's such a crybaby, or she's so spoiled, or she's so, XYZ. I think if you just really take a look at it, I think they both had their own issues with what they
Yeah.
were dealing with. Like, for example, you had a 12-year-old who's stuck in a block of ice for 110 years,
All
comes
his
out
people
and says, hey,
died.
by the way,
Right.
all these people, your whole race is completely extinct. Oh, by the way, everyone's looking for you, and you have to fight the Fire Lord, because Avatar: Last Airbender takes all 3 books take place within about a year and a half. So
Yeah.
Yes. That's a
um
lot.
it's like, hey, by the way, you got to fight this dude and you have to kill him. So they both dealt with their own with what they were presented. They both had their big issues. I don't think one was bigger than the other. And then on
100%.
Korra's end, she's not only fighting against elements and like you said, the villain. I have to agree with Jeff when he says that she was fighting against some like S tier people, like insane, like just crazy. He had that one guy, follower always I, and like it was like he said, it was more so of just the thought of him that made him a good villain, vice how strong he actually was.
Yeah.
Because
Because
without Sozin's comment, I don't feel like he would have had as
no,
much trouble with
Right. Yeah.
him
He also had a
as
power boost
problem.
when
Yeah.
he
yeah,
finally got up
yeah,
to him. Yeah.
yeah. So I think with Korra, I think people just have there's such a love for Aang, which I completely understand. Yeah, there's such a that when that Korra, they just seemed because she's headstrong, because she'll step
She
to a
was
fight,
a monk.
Vice being
Right.
passive. People seemed that she was just not a better avatar than Aang. So, um,
She's just
yeah,
different. And
what
people
I'm
don't
another thing that
understand it.
yes, completely different. Yeah.
Just because you love one thing doesn't mean you need to hate another.
Hate
Because
on the
right,
other, right?
because if you don't like Korra, how are you gonna
Coming
feel
from you,
about
Jeff, I'm surprised. I'm
how
surprised.
you how you gonna feel
I'm
about
surprised.
Kyoshi? Who's
I'm really surprised.
how are you gonna feel
I
about
didn't say it.
Kyoshi? Who's similar in thought, like who's similar in not avoiding the fight, going
Yeah,
to the
Kyoshi's a
phone.
lot like
Yeah,
Korra.
so that's gonna be
Probably
very
worse.
interesting to
She
see.
probably kill people on purpose.
Right. She's
But
like,
I feel like
I could
I
let him live, but
I guess I feel like the way that the characters are in, like Kyoshi, it's more so of like your mom coming to whip your behind, Vice, like you fighting with your sister Korra. Like I feel like Kyoshi has more of like a motherly, stern, like presence. Like if because they don't really when they do hear her when she talks or when they do show her, she was like 7 feet tall, had a
Yeah.
huge
Yeah, she was a
foot.
big girl.
She was
yeah.
huge. She was tall, so she had this very commanding presence about her, like a just very commanding. And on Korra, like she's just that girl at school. Look, we're gonna throw hands, you know. So kind of personalities. So, um, I'm really hoping that with all these movies, that I really hope it just addresses some questions, and I guess obviously for fans, you know, that fan service, like, hey, like these are questions that we have, and are they gonna be addressed? But um, I'm just really excited about it. When I saw this, I was like, no freaking way. So
Well, somebody mentioned it earlier. I'm gonna scroll out and find out exactly. But it was Nick the OG one. I definitely got to echo what they said. Varric and Julie were amazing. I love
Yeah,
them
they're great characters.
so much.
Yeah.
Like the
Oh my
supporting
god.
cast in Korra
Yeah.
is
That was
fantastic.
really
Like
good.
100%.
Bolin is great. Like
Yes,
even
I love
crap.
Bolin.
What's Bolin's brother's name? The Zuko
Mm,
replacement.
he's
Oh
an M boy.
yeah.
Sorry.
I like him.
Yeah,
oh
no, yeah, he is. But like the fact that he's stumbling through these relationships, like you are so thick headed, you don't see what you're doing here. Like I love
Right.
that.
I do love the callbacks to like when we
Mako.
got to see
Mako,
Iroh.
thank
We got
you.
to see Iroh in the spirit world and stuff like that. I feel like it was an homage, but it was very much.
There's a tie
I
in.
feel like it was good. It brought the emotions. Like it was real good because I feel like Iroh was the heart behind the Avatar. Just like dealing with the loss of his son, right? Because in other aspects, if he didn't lose his son, he would have been the Fire Lord. He was also,
Right, yeah.
yeah, he was very
He was
much,
in line.
yeah.
Yeah.
He got betrayed by his brother, lost his son. Zuko, who he saw, was trying to pretty much how he saw as his son, was stumbling and falling and wanted to get the approval of his father and stuff like that. And he was just supportive, mind you. Iroh was a better firebender than the Fire Lord.
oh yeah.
He could have beaten him at any time. He could have chosen him to the right to rule. He could have beaten him very easily, and he chose not to. Like when they was like, "Hey,
Yeah, like he didn't see the point
yeah,
of the conquest anymore
right."
after he lost his son.
Mm-hmm.
But also he has some, and this is a story that they haven't dove into yet. They kind of alluded to that he had an encounter where he was in the spirit world,
Oh yeah,
like before all this stuff. Like he had like an eye opening, life changing experience where he was in the spirit world, and that's kind of why his entire mentality changed.
One thing I do want to say is I lost my mind when General Iroh showed up in Korra.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
When his grandson, when
yeah,
Iroh's
Mhm.
grandson showed up, I was like, obviously we knew it was the same voice actor as Zuko, but just seeing the legacy strong in the Fire Nation, and it was such a good person.
right.
He was such a good person. And you're like, okay, Zuko actually has changed because he raised this fine young man. You know what I mean? I'm just so proud of all of
No
the
burns.
Team Avatar and all their descendants and what the legacy that they left.
Yeah.
They've done such a great job with this series. Again, it just hurts me how Nickelodeon shut it down. It was disgusting. And I'm glad that we're seeing more, or we're
Because you think
hopefully seeing more.
about it, like if you think about this, Avatar Last Airbender first came out in 2005. So
Yeah.
for it to be so popular back then, and then just to have this newfound like people have always loved Avatar: The Last Airbender, but to have new breath, I guess, life put back into it, and have a new you have it like the fan base for us, like because when it first came out, I was in 10th grade when Avatar: Last Airbender first came out. So to have like the adult fan base, and then to have a new younger fan base of Avatar, it's just something really cool to see it all just come. We're not going to talk about the movie, that's blasphemy, but but just to see people excited about it again, and people rewatching it over and over and over again, and have it to just be this huge thing for to now they're going to go dive into the Avatar universe. I think it's just absolutely wonderful.
100%.
Right. If I can be real quick about my thoughts on this, all I'll really say is, especially with the Kyoshi story, I'm hoping that since this is probably going to be more divorced from Nickelodeon, which is a kid-friendly channel, I wonder if they can get a little darker in terms of their storytelling.
That's what I want.
Right. So like Kyoshi, a character who does get a little bit more gritty. Like, can we see her actually taking some like? Not that I don't want something like super graphic. Like, don't turn it into like The Boys or something.
Gore, don't
No, I'm not into that. But just darker theming, darker plot lines, right? Because like the show has always been very serious. Like they deal with war and like death and terrible situations like that. But they did that thing where like, I will destroy you or I will end you permanently. Like they won't say the word kill. They won't say the word die. Right. So like just remove that last little restriction so they can just tell you exactly what they want to tell you and show you exactly what they want to show you, because like the world can get pretty dark.
Give me more moments when Katara started bloodbending. And
yes,
she stopped the rain. Give me more moments that are heavy like that. And these characters really need to say, am I going to become a murderer today? Because I feel like it. You know what I'm saying? Give me that. Give me those moments.
I like
Coning A. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. The dude with the creature with no face.
Right. Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, like that was a very dark creature. Like killing people and taking their face. Like I forgot what Avatar he killed someone's loved one. And
the waterbender who was before Kyoshi.
And so stuff like that. You're right. I do agree with the darker tone.
Coning A Loves All says, I don't want gritty and dark. I want lighthearted mystery fantasy. And Nick OG says, did Jet die? What happened to Jet?
Yes.
But that's exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about. Like that kind of ambiguity, because they can't show you that they wanted a character to die there. Like the impact kind of gets lost in this weird mystery. Like, wait, what happened?
He took a long nap. He's not waking up though. Like it was
definitely
like, yeah, I'm not.
If you really pay attention, I'm sorry.
No,
go ahead. Sorry. So if you really pay attention, in Avatar, when Jet goes back, when they're in the Earth Kingdom, and Jet, I'm sorry, Bonsi saying, and they're dealing with the Dai Li. If you really pay attention to when they leave, when his gang shows up, if you really pay attention, he actually takes like his last breath. They just don't show it on camera. Like if you're really paying attention to like the way that when he was like they were cradling him, and then like Katara and everyone else like just takes off, and his like squad is there with them, like he literally dies in their arms. So you just have to really kind of just pay attention to it. They're not going to show it on camera, but he dies in that scene.
You can see his spirit in his body.
Yeah, like it was pretty sad, but there's been a few.
Yeah, it's supposed to be sad, but because
sad.
of the way they framed it, like I feel like the sheer impact of that death did kind of miss the mark, because like it's ambiguous enough that they can say, did he die? Because they don't they don't want to traumatize kids or whatever. Not that kids aren't traumatized already based on just whatever's going on in the world, but I don't know. That's all I'm saying. Like I don't want it to be super gritty and dark, like everyone is dying and.
But those
I just want them to have
you,
the freedom to actually tell that story, right?
Like those chills that when Katara was looking for the man that killed her mom, like the chills when she was like, "It's me," and then all of a sudden you just see the rain freeze and it all forms into like this ice. Like it was just like these chills I got over my spine. Like this is what she's capable of, but she's choosing not to be that way. Like she literally could have just tore up from the floor up. She really could have, and she chose not to.
She could have beaten the Fire Lord too easy.
Yeah, especially without Sozin's comment. That's what I'm saying. Like without Sozin's comment, he was in trouble.
Anyway,
it could be debated.
Yeah. I feel like Azula might have been more powerful to him.
Yeah.
Azula might have been more powerful than him, if I'm being honest with you.
Rude.
Maybe, yeah.
Right.
Over time, like Azula was a straight up prodigy.
Yeah,
Like
She was.
you're rude, but you might be right.
she's a problem.
I wouldn't have
think-
said that in the final report.
I
you know
think
what I'm
if
saying?
Zuko hadn't gone through what he did and listened to reason from Uncle Iroh and really changed his path, Azula probably definitely would have beaten him.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think maybe skills wise, Azula was better than Zuko at that point in time, but he had more of a better head on his shoulders at that point when he did face Azula.
Yeah.
So like
He
skill
also
wise,
was skilled in that more than just bending. He was very proficient with those dual swords he would use in martial arts as well.
redirecting lightning. So I think it was just for Zuko, it was just all encompassing. Like she may be a better firebender than me, but all around he's a better fighter than Azula was.
Right.
When it
Right,
comes
yeah.
to that? Because even
can
in
see
the
that.
episode where he's like, I can see her, she's slipping, like she's off, like something's wrong with
Right.
her. So for him to be able to read his sister like that and use that to his advantage, overall, I think Zuko is definitely a better fighter than Azula was. But I
I
digress.
mean,
For sure.
like, the fire. I mean, in Ozai, I felt like Ozai wasn't. They didn't show his bending prowess before the comment came. It wasn't like
Yeah, not really.
Yeah,
Right.
because the only thing they showed was him beating up on his son.
Yeah,
I
him
mean, right,
beat up,
that's
him
how
burn
it
his
is,
half
bro.
his son's
In front
face
of
off.
people?
Like,
right.
In front of company?
It wasn't like he was
Like, oh, no.
bending or something like that. It was just he was ridiculously. I mean, it tells you that he might have been powerful because of how powerful he was during the comment, but you don't know that because you didn't see any of that. So, and I don't know if that was the way of the show trying to scale his power to a point where Aang wouldn't have been a match using the Avatar state, well, which he didn't have. He wouldn't have been a match for him without the Avatar state. I don't know. So it was just weird that. But I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I would have liked to see where he was before the comment and during the comment.
okay. So very long Avatar discussion, but I love that. That's probably my favorite fantasy series. So more Avatar stuff from just in general for sure. But we'll move on to our second topic, or we can skip over to the Xbox Bethesda showcase because we've been going for quite a while.
Yeah, we can do that. My only thing about the Diablo thing is that's why I don't play mobile games.
What do you mean? That's why. All I want to say is, it seems like people like the game,
No.
and like it got a lot of
It's very-
backlash
yeah, it's very
when it was
mixed.
announced.
Microtransactions, a lot of stuff is locked behind a paywall, like certain weapons and stuff. And it does the thing mobile games do where you can do a certain amount of things a day until you have to pay to replenish that to do it. Genshin Impact had that, where you could get like consumables to replenish whatever the currency was. To
Yeah,
do
like once you
things.
reach the end game, yeah.
So, and that's my thing. Like, I don't mind mobile games. I don't mind transaction stuff, microtransactions, but they need to be solely cosmetic to me, especially in a game like that's Diablo-esque like that, because then you just make it pay to win for the most part. But
Indeed.
just a boy. I'm just a boy.
I kind of feel like after reading some of the notes, like I agree, because it's like if I have to pay for so much stuff, you're essentially paying for the game like 3-4 times over if you really think about it. And if I have to do that to enjoy a game, then I don't really like, for every time something comes out, like, oh, $5.95 for this or $10.95 for that, or pay $20 and you'll get an extension on this level, or anything like that. It just really takes the enjoyment out of the game itself. To essentially, you're like, you have to pay to advance in a game. And I think that, I can understand, like you said, purely cosmetic. For example, Apex Legends, the game is free. You're paying for things that are solely cosmetic for the game, to play the base of the game. And even then, so you can earn everything. You don't have to pay for anything. You can earn everything by Apex coins, crafting medals, whatever it is. So I think at this point, a lot of companies doing this, I really feel like it's a money grab. Like, do you really need to do this to your consumers to make a decent profit? But at the end of the day, it's always about money. So
True.
I probably won't give the game a try. I think that
Same.
it's ridiculous. In the article, he talked about, oh yeah, it just leaves more room for like growth and XYZ. Like, I don't understand why you have to charge you already have a fan base, and the game was downloaded over 5 million times apparently,
Right.
according to the article. So it's like obviously your fans are there. If you were to, you could still make a crazy amount of money if you just charged for purely cosmetic things. So I just think at this point for this game specifically, and after reading what you sent, Sigma, I think it's purely just a money grab. Like I
But
don't
yeah,
really feel like
that's not surprising. That's like this is what this industry, any industry is kind of is built to do, is to make money. So,
Well, you
I guess
played it,
but
like
my take that's a tiny bit different than y'all's. Not far off, but I started playing it and it feels so damn good compared to the other Diablo games. Like it does feel like a continuation of three, and that's what kind of hurts for me. I feel like if they made me pay just $3 and just didn't make it free, just $3-4, shoot, I'll pay $5 for what I was getting at the beginning of this game. To be honest,
mhm.
from jump, and then put in microtransactions for cosmetic stuff, I'd be a lot happier. Because it does play smooth. It does look like a Diablo sequel, Diablo 3 sequel. It does look like that, and it's gorgeous. And the customization that you see there is, I'm assuming, is kind of like a dipping our toe in the water for Diablo 4. So while I'm impressed by how it plays, I'm of course disappointed by how it plays. um, and yeah, so that's kind of where I sit on it. I feel like they shouldn't have just released it free. Just let us pay up front because you obviously have the people there who want to play it, um, and it is good quality. You just screwing people over pretty blatantly, and it's kind of sad.
it kind of reminds me of I love RDC One World, so I'm sure y'all follow them too. So there's a skit they did a few years back, and it was a fighting game, and he puts it in, and he goes, "Okay, cool," and it's like $20 to go to the menu screen. And he goes, "Okay," and then he pays $20, and it goes $50 to unlock the main characters, and he goes, "All right," and then it says $80 to download the other half of the game. So like I gotta find the link and send it to y'all on Discord, but
Yeah,
no, I think
it's
I've seen
it's
that video.
true. Have you seen that one? Like it's
Yeah.
just insane what they charge people to simply to play a game. You're making your money, and maybe Apex Legends and other games that have found that they only charge for like cosmetic things. That's maybe they found like, hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it, kind of thing. Like we're making our money. I don't know how just by people playing the game, we're making money off of it. So I don't know. I don't plan on playing Diablo, so my name is Bennett and I ain't in it. But um, I just think that's
Yeah, it's
so
capital.
cool.
Like we've seen these kind of games that overreach, and then the ones that kind of do it right.
Yeah.
The ideal thing would be for the consumers to recognize and not support, but time and time again, like
Right.
people are going to play what they want to play. They're going to
Yeah.
contribute what they want to contribute that makes them feel fine. So the company's going to do this because it works.
So at the end of the day, it really is up to us as the consumer. Like, is that something that I think is worth paying for? Is it something that
Right.
I want to, shelve out, $50 for or so?
Yeah, like
I'm
that
not.
24 million that they make, like that's players' money.
insane.
That's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they
Yeah.
chose to do that. So
Because what happens is you go into it, you might go into it. I'm just gonna play the game, and then you get sucked into it. You're like, you know what? It's only $2. It's only $3. It's only $2. It's only $3. Next thing you know,
Oh,
you're just putting the money in it, right? Like I think our age, as younger kids, they're not as aware of that, right? I go into a mobile game knowing what it's probably a free to play game. That's why free to play games for the longest had a bad taste in my mouth because I knew what that meant going into a game, what it was gonna be. So I
when you go hit
think
that price tag.
right, yes. So I feel like that's something that younger kids don't have. They'll go into Fortnite. Oh, it's mommy's money, or just put my thumbprint on my face and I get $10. Next thing you know, mom was like, "Did you put $100 on my card for Fortnite?" You know what I'm saying? So
Not
I
that.
think kids who don't have or even some young adults who don't have the
Grown
idea of
adults, really.
what money is for the most part, or where the value of it, like they readily will keep spending those $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10. So, yeah.
But hey,
It's
if you
so
like
funny.
it and you want to
Matt,
pay for it,
you jokingly said grown adults, but it's funny. I think that's more the case here with Diablo.
That could
I
be true. Yeah.
agree.
You know what
That's
I'm
the
Yeah.
saying?
fan base for Diablo. That's true.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, as much as we definitely have the kids that are just $2-3, yeah, whatever. I think with Diablo specifically, it's some of these
Somebody
old
with a
heads.
whole 9 to 5.
Yeah, and they playing Diablo while they on it.
I could drop
Yeah,
100.
you're right. So with that, let's move on to the Xbox Bethesda showcase. I'm just gonna ask you guys. We'll go in a circle. Feel free to chime in on anybody else's ramblings. But I just want to hear what out of this conference you guys were the most excited about, because there was a lot here. Like overall, I think they did a great job trying to let you know what they had to offer outside of some of their first party offerings, because like a lot of their bigger titles still aren't really being shown off. Like we didn't see Hellblade 2.
Right.
There was no news about what was coming next for Halo Infinite.
There's no Fable.
No new Gears. They did show some Forza, but that's kind of it on that front.
They didn't show anything
So
for
yeah,
Fable,
like guys,
right?
say again.
They didn't show anything for Fable.
No Fable either.
Mm-mm.
Perfect Dark essentially was restarted, so like we were never expecting them to show us anything from that. So that'll be a while before we see that again, I guess. But yeah, guys, let me know what it is out of this conference that really held your attention. Like I can go first if you guys are like looking through the list.
I mean, I could go real quick. It was very short for me. Oh, I'm not ladies first. Go ahead.
What happened?
Okay, I'll go. I think she might have froze.
Did her camera freeze?
I think so. For me, you enjoyed the show. I thought it was a very lackluster showcase.
You thought it was lackluster? Okay. Go into it.
Because here's the thing. While all this stuff was cool going to Game Pass, there were no games that blew me out of the water aside from like Redfall looked pretty cool. Like I'm interested in it, but it wasn't like, oh my god, that's gonna be so amazing. You know what I'm saying? And I always get the name wrong. It's Starfield, right? Not Star Citizen, correct?
Yeah, Starfield. Star Citizen's entirely different.
It's a battleship one, right? Okay, so Starfield looked really good. I thought it looked very well. The things that they talk about that you'll be able to do seem very appealing to me, right? I love that it's going to be kind of open-ended. The combat reminded me very much of Fallout. Kind of seems like there's some type of semblance of like a VAC system. I'm not sure, but also like it seemed like there's third-person parts of the game and first-person parts of the game. I love the pretty much it's what is it like 100 worlds or like over 10 planets in each or something like that.
What for Starfield? Yeah. They said 1,000 planets.
Okay, so 1,000 planets. Well, yeah. So a lot of planets, a lot of places you can go, a lot of dialogue. It's very back to that. A lot of pretty much you can farm, you can craft. Pretty much if it was a single player MMO, there's a bunch of the same things you could do in that, or the same things you could probably do in this. Like if you wanted to be run around. The thing that would add another layer to me, and this is always just me, is a multiplayer aspect to that.
Yeah, they're not doing that.
I know, but this is just me. Like in such a huge world like that, like being able to, have your buddy and be like a bounty hunter or something like that. Like those type of things to me would add to it. While I'm sure it's gonna be a great single player experience. Like I'm very excited for that aspect of it because the world looks very vast. It looks interesting. It seems very populated as well, where all these planets aren't just the same planets with like ice on this planet and maybe like greenery on this planet, and it's a mix of those same 10 planets.
Yeah, they tried to make the statement that like, oh, it's the whole world.
Right.
Like you can land anywhere on the surface of each planet that they have there. So
there were creatures.
But it's a tall order. 1,000 planets that supposedly
order.
have all that. Like I feel like
they've been working on this for a long time though, right? If I'm not mistaken, like this has been.
They have
7-8 years in the making,
and this was the first showing of that 7-8 years of work. And honestly, I don't feel like they showed all that much. I feel like there's probably a lot.
That's
more
why I said I
wasn't.
It was a lackluster. Like the things that we needed to see, we didn't see. Fable talked about at E3 2 years ago, or was that last year?
Yeah, that might have been longer.
Yeah.
At this point,
and we haven't seen anything about it.
No.
Perfect Dark got restarted. Don't know nothing about that. There was every first party game that's come out to me hasn't been what it should be. Halo launched, no Forge mode. Half of a game. You couldn't even do co-op campaign in the beginning.
Right, still can't.
Right.
Yeah, still can't.
So like your first party games aren't being the games that are selling on Game Pass are the games that are third party games, right? first party games I'm trying because
most
they're
part.
on Game Pass because they're free, right? But if I'm paying $60 for one of these games, I'm gonna be kind of upset. And they're very much dropping the ball on the first party games. I needed to see some first party games. The third party games we've been killing. I mean, we got a lot of indie games that are really cool. You know, a lot of hidden gems that we didn't know about. Another thing that we didn't get to see was that what was Avowed. We didn't Avowed because that's an
Right,
Xbox
yeah.
exclusive, right?
Yeah, that's crap. Why am I forgetting the company's name now? But the people who did Fallout New Vegas,
Right.
Obsidian.
Okay. No, nothing about Avowed. No, and that looked really good from what they showed at E3. The brief thing that they showed. So they've talked about these games, but we haven't seen anything about them. There's no release date. There's no, you know, no trailer. No, no nothing. Like, and we see.
No, I see
like
what you mean.
Crackdown
Yeah,
3,
like,
where Crackdown 3 was coming out for a long time, and then when it finally came
Yeah.
out, it just wasn't good. So
you're of the mindset of look at this is their conference, look at everything that's not there.
Right.
Like I see exactly what you mean because I was feeling exactly the same way prior to the conference. Like, yeah, like Microsoft's been dropping the ball on all this first party stuff. Like, there's all these things that they've been talking about and teeing up for years and years and years. Like, we've been patient, we've been waiting. When is any of this stuff going to start coming out and delivering? And like, it's just still not ready yet. Like, that is very frustrating. But like, the reason why I consider the conference to actually be really good is because despite the fact that there's all this good stuff, we don't actually know if it's going to be good yet, but exciting stuff that they have not talked about and cannot seem to get out the door just yet. This was showing us that, hey, there's other stuff here too that looks good and can maybe bide that time. Like, first of all, Hollow Knight finally got another like Hollow Knight Silk Song finally got another trailer at this conference. Like, that's going to be a day one Game Pass. Like, that is huge in my book. Like, Hollow Knight is probably one of the best games I've played in the last 10 years, point blank, period. Ooh. And for that sequel, which looks fantastic from the trailers, to be a Game Pass day one title, like, that is big. That's just really big news because I'm definitely going to be playing that on day one. But then they also had a lot of smaller things that look really good, like a Plague Tale Requiem, like that. That's like the previous game it was like kind of a smaller scope and project. They definitely got a lot more money behind the second one. Like, I think that's going to be like actually huge. Like, when people actually play the sequel, the fact that and again, this is kind of like it's not necessarily for me, but just as the company as a whole, what they're doing, what they're offering, the Riot Games like unlock thing.
I was going to talk
like
about
all these like all these different
value.
Multiplayer games where if you have Game Pass, you just have access to like the full roster, like all the Valorant
here's the thing.
characters, all the.
And I gotta double check. I don't know if you already have an account. Then are you able to link that to your Game Pass account? It's saying if you have Game Pass and you sign up for that, you unlock these characters. I don't know if that's for people who exist in.
Well, for like new people, no, I 100 like they may not have been clear. I 100% believe that if you already have Game Pass, you just get it. Like, because that would be insane.
I mean, for
if there was
people
like.
who already have a Riot account, are you able to link that?
Yeah, like as long as you have Game Pass, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
that wouldn't look.
Like,
I'll look again. Okay.
Yeah, but like
that's a good value. Those are things, but to me, those are things that, hey, look over here. Don't pay attention to over here.
Well, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. But as a conference, good. I'm like they showed off the stuff that they have to look forward to that will come. Like, yes, I'm disappointed about all the stuff that's missing for sure, but like the stuff that they showed is actually still good. Like Flintlock looks really fun. Like, that looks like kind of like a lighter God of War in terms of like its combat and stuff.
That's the one with the guns, right?
Yeah, like it was like a lady who had an axe.
Okay,
and
yeah.
Also like and there's some other stuff in there too. But I'll agree. Starfield to me looked super disappointing. Like it looked very plain and basic.
It definitely needs to show more.
Like this, yeah, as a first showing, very underwhelming.
Right.
Like they didn't show anyone anything that we haven't seen already. Like, everyone in the comments immediately was like, "Oh, this looks exactly like No Man's Sky," and I have zero interest in No Man's Sky. Like, I don't want to play that game. People love it. Like, that's for them. I don't want to just explore a big space galaxy like without kind of that's the main thing that I guess would entice me in Starfield, is like if the story, I guess, can pull me along all these different planets and whatnot. then, but like we didn't really hear exactly what that's about. It sounded very generic in terms of story. Like, oh, there's a relic. Find out what the relic is doing because it's giving people visions or whatever. Like that's literally every single sci-fi plotline. So I don't know. Like I like the conference overall. I'm excited about the stuff that they have coming out. And yeah, it does kind of put some balm on the wound of just them not delivering on all sorts of first party promises. But yeah, it probably won't last for long. Like they do got to start getting those other games out and in the open sooner than later.
I was excited for High on Life. I thought that looked great. I thought that looked like a lot of fun. That's done by Squanch.
Yeah, the Squanch Games joint. Yeah. The Justin Roiland game.
That's correct. Yeah. I think it's just a funny premise. In this galaxy, humans are drugs, and you play a human and you kind of run away from aliens that want to smoke you. Like you see, just like those two sentences are just funny. So you just know that like the premise alone is great. You just know that it's going to escalate.
So he was high when the concept of this game came up.
No,
probably.
Sober's Rock.
Gotcha.
I thought it was a pretty dope flex at this conference that or the showcase that Overwatch 2 got announced.
Right.
You know, this news. No, obviously it's not Xbox exclusive, but it's a flex that it came out at this time at this.
Because they just said a
Bethesda, like they control it.
They called it a Xbox Bethesda showcase, but we had some Blizzard
stuff. Because it's gonna be Xbox.
Right. That's heavy. That's heavy. The free to play switch over, the switch off from loot box to a seasonal system. They're gonna have this watch point pack that looks like a season pass kind of deal.
How do you feel about the free to play part?
I have a couple. I'm going back and forth on how I feel about it. You know, part of me is like, yay, more of my friends get to play and we get to get into this great game. And then, you know, the other side of me is like, oh man, there's going to be a lot of bots and trolls and people that there's a lot of people that don't know how to play. And so it's going to be like getting them up to speed and stuff like that. So
if it's like Apex to me, I think it'll be okay. Same way with the seasonal, the battle pass or whatever they're going to call it.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I feel. I think it's going to join the ranks of Apex. I think it's going to join the ranks of Fortnite, all these other, you know, free-to-play live service games. So I'm interested on how they're going to do it. I hope they don't handle it the way that they've been doing Diablo Immortal. But I highly doubt it. I've a huge trust in the development team for Overwatch. I feel like their balancing has been among the best of almost any game I've played, any live service game I've played, and I think you know I'm a big fan of Overwatch, so I'm trying to take my bias out of it and just look at what they showed me. And I played the beta so far, and I had a great time with it. We signed up for the second one that's coming out on console. I'm looking forward to that as well. So, you know, now knowing that so many more people are going to be jumping into this whole atmosphere is going to shift a little bit, and I don't know if it's for the better. I'm praying so, but at the same time, you know, it really comes down to the game quality and who you surround yourself with. So that's how I feel about freedom.
On the marketplace this morning, there was a Overwatch 2 pack for $39.99.
Yeah,
which it just says it will give you everything you need to start the game. Plus, it'll guarantee you a spot in the open beta coming or something like that.
Yeah.
You gotta pay for a beta spot.
It's just, you know how they do it.
No, it's a guaranteed beta spot. You can still get it for free. Get the beta spot for free.
But does that mean that you cannot get selected for the beta?
Yeah, you can definitely not get selected for a beta.
Yeah.
They've been
so the fact that you can pay money to guarantee that spot, that doesn't seem like kind of
games have done that in the past though. Like if you pre-order this game, you guarantee the spot.
Yeah, and pre-order culture is ass. Like I've made that clear. Huh?
Don't pre-order it. I think honestly, that's actually a good trade-off for a pre-order. Now I'm not saying like supporting pre-orders, but if you're gonna pre-order something, let me pay it earlier. Let me play.
Kind of like a founders pack. A bunch of free-to-play games do that. They give you like a founders pack where you get a bunch of stuff and guaranteed access to all these stuff, and then when it goes live, you get a bunch of other stuff and blah 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 blah.
Maybe it's the terminology that's killing it for me, because like you call something a beta, like it's supposed to be like a trial thing. You're gonna ask someone to pay money to get into like a not
Well-
finished thing? Like call it early access then. But
That's
then in
fair.
that case, let it be a finished thing that you get early access to and you pay extra.
So
for.
there
I
is
think that's in
early
addition to it. That's like a bonus part of buying that pack.
Early access
You-
is coming later on. There's
By early access I mean the thing is a finished product,
Yeah.
and you get to play it
Something else.
before other people because you
like a couple
you-
of days early. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, not like early because Microsoft uses early access for their what do you call it? Their kind of unfinished game thing too. But I'm literally talking about like you get to play it early, not it's an early version of the
I'm
game.
gonna confirm. I thought there were 2 phases. I thought there was a beta and there was an early access that was later on. But I'll confirm and shoot it to you. Because
They
I
just
think
need to go back to demo discs. I'm just saying, but I
we've been
digress.
talking-
Yeah, like they call if it's a demo, it's a demo, right? Like if it's a beta, like that tends to be like the game's not finished. They're testing something and you're helping them test it. So for them to ask you for money to do that is like, what are you doing?
But they're saying you can definitely help us if you support us.
I got you. I see.
Okay, I mean, okay,
No,
I
wait,
guess.
No, but this is. I guess for me, it's like okay, it's an unfinished game. Hey, as a player, as a consumer, I need you to test this and give us your feedback. So I want you to pay me to test it and give me your feedback.
And then give me your feedback. It's like
and then when it's released, I want you to pay for the full game.
Okay, but this is the thing. This is what you guys keep omitting, is that you don't have to pay for this
Right.
to be involved in this.
I mean, you're
Right.
That's
right, but like it's
like
it's that tease
it's a
of saying like,
founder's-
oh, well, you want to guarantee that you get to do this thing you want to do. You can give us a little change
So think
for
about-
that strange.
Think
You know
about
what
it
I'm
like
saying?
this. It's like it's a founder's pack. You get all this stuff.
You guys are getting to play a beta, early access, whatever you want to call it, before the game's actually released. You get to play it. You have an opportunity to play it for free, right? And then you also have an opportunity to pay to play it ahead of time. That's really all it is. You're like, I don't know where we got this privilege, like we need to play it ahead of time.
I mean, you don't. Yeah, it's.
Like-
I'm not saying I'm entitled to play it
That's
ahead of
just-
time,
that's
but
not-
like they're the ones offering.
But
Like-
they're offering 2 options for this. They're offering, hey, we need to fill this list, and also if you want to pay, you could definitely get on the list. But the
See,
fact
that
is,
part is-
I can
that
see
is-
that.
Yeah, that
I
part
can
of
see
getting
that,
on the
yeah.
list is
God,
in addition.
deserve
Yeah,
this.
it's in addition to everything else. It comes with a bunch of other stuff, and other free to play games do it too. They call, like I said, they call it a founders pack, where you buy this pack, you get a bunch of stuff, and you get included in this on top of that. Like it's in addition to. It's not just hey, pay $40 for this, and you're guaranteed to get into the beta. It's just that's a bonus part of it. He's
Sure.
not convinced. Look at him.
Like yeah, it's still,
He's like,
I see.
Like,
I see
it's a-
where you're
it's a
coming
bonus,
from,
but-
Blue.
like no, like, it makes sense. Like it's a bonus in addition to the other perks that you get because you want to spend that money. But like it's gonna be the deciding factor for most people. Like they want to get in
I got
early,
you.
and that's taking advantage of that fervor, that
Okay.
fan
So we-
desire to want to play the thing, right?
he's using the
Like-
mobile game system on him. I got you.
Yeah, it's like I just think you can do this without being money hungry.
But you know,
But
that's why they're here to make money. That's,
I don't expect any different. So
and that was one of the things they said. They said number one, they wanted to go free to play because it gave them room to do much more, to add much more on a more frequent basis. So they're gonna have seasons just like everything else, like a 9-week season, to where they're gonna add stuff in the next season, which is gonna be healthy for the game. Because that was my issue with Overwatch is it got stale. I got tired of the same game types. I got tired of, once heroes became less frequent, I got tired of that. Like, and it was so far in between. It wasn't like, while the game types are different because, the fights were different because of the way they unfolded. It was still in the same places and stuff like that. So having seasons to keep refreshing stuff and adding different things and maps and stuff like that, I think that's going to help, keep a lot of people involved in the game as well.
yeah, I'm honestly not too worried about that aspect because while I also left Overwatch after a while, it was after like what 6-7 years
Right,
of them
right.
being like consistent. Like at some point, sure they had to slow down because they were going to start developing on the next one. So like I wouldn't really hold that against them. And the fact that this new game seems like they're like, okay, Overwatch 2, but it's really just a platform for us to make a live service thing. We probably won't see another like long stretch of like
15 years.
no updates.
15 years.
Okay, that's how long that game came out.
One thing I'm kind of hoping for, and this is going to be the one of the biggest price tags that you're going to see come out of this is the PvE, the story part of this, right? Because that's going to be coming out a little bit later. And what I'm hoping is for a Destiny 2 like progression where from season to season you're getting more story and things are moving. I don't know if I'm gonna get that, but that's what I'm hoping for.
Right? Yeah.
I think that would be worth.
You say close.
That would.
Closed mouths don't get fed, so you better ask.
Hey, there you go.
No, Destiny is one of the leaders in the live service space right now, so I would not at all be surprised if they use them as a model and copy, because Overwatch would be a great fit for that exact sort of strategy.
Pull a Zavala story for like Soldier or something.
Oh my God! Stop. Zavala's story broke my heart last week. I didn't even do the second one yet. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Okay. So any other standout announcements or information from the Xbox conference before we wrap things up?
I thought. Oh, I'm sorry, Blue.
No, you're totally fine.
I am really like. I've known Blue for Lord, it's been like 11 years.
Yeah,
like 11 years.
Yeah.
So he knows I'm really into like puzzle games. I really like puzzle games. So when I saw that Cocoon game, I thought that
yes, that's from Play Dead devs. Like they left
and
that
apparently
company that made Limbo and
apparently they had a falling out apparently when I kind of fell into I fell into a rabbit hole when I started reading stuff, but that looks really, really good. So there really isn't a lot of info on it, but I'm excited to see where that's at. Even though I play on Xbox and PlayStation, I think it's really cool that Persona's coming to Xbox, Persona 3, 4, and 5.
Finally.
I think that's really, really, really cool.
They say the fighting one was coming with that too. Goes out. That's coming as well.
Persona I don't think they.
Okay.
It's just 3, 4, and 5.
I know, like the fighting game one, right? Yeah, like I don't think that was shown.
Okay.
And then
the Switch Muso one for Persona 5 Strikers. They didn't say anything about that either.
Okay. And then so I thought that was really cool. I have a lot of friends that just play primarily on Xbox, so I hope they get to experience Persona. I really like the game. Blue is actually the one who got me into Persona back in Hawaii. So
it's so crazy because I never got to finish it myself. It was just stressful.
Yeah. I even have Persona Dancing All Night on my PS Vita. So like I really like Persona. And then the one announcement that there was no information. It was literally just someone. I am a Kojima stan like no other. I am a huge Kojima fan. I love Metal Gear Solid. I've been playing it for years. So I was excited that he literally just said, "Hey, I'm going to make something for Xbox," but that's literally all. That's literally all he said.
That seemed like his hand was forced because they were like, I think it got leaked a couple months ago that there was some sort of deal between Xbox and
it was called
Kojima.
Overdose or something like that, supposedly.
Yeah, and that also leaked. Yeah, like the title of the game is called Overdose.
Because
if anyone to be a horror thing,
if anyone knows like Kojima as a game developer or just. He's a very particular person on who he works with and what he puts out. So I'm really excited. The fact that he was like, "Yeah, we're making a game." Like you said, it's like his hand was kind of forced. Like, fine, I'll say something. But I'm really excited to see what he comes up with Xbox. So that's pretty much Cocoon is something that I'm really looking forward to. But the Kojima announcement, I was like, okay, like I'm ready to see what it actually, regardless of the leaks and everything that. Like the rumors or word around the scuttlebutt. I'm really excited. Navy term, sorry. So I'm really excited to see what it is that he's gonna produce and put out.
It's so funny. I did want to comment on the Kojima thing. I think him coming out and basically shaking Xbox's hand after being with PlayStation for so long, it's kind of like. And just hear me out, right? He's kind of like that dude that's like, I was never dating her, like we was always just hanging out. I was like, we was never actually a thing, I like everybody and I like money.
I mean, we talked.
Like we talk, like we've been talking for years, but that's not my girl. You know,
Yeah, I mean, like Sony courted him after he split ways with Konami. Known to do that, like, hey, we want to exclusive up whatever it is you got. Like, that's what Sony does. So of course he took that money. Now that that deal, has finished, he's like, hey, let me do some other stuff because Xbox got money too, and clearly they throwing it his way.
Right.
You
So-
know, he was being a hot boy Kojima. You know, he was just testing
exactly.
testing
thought it was
the waters. You know.
I thought it was a cool announcement. I also wasn't like super hyped about it just because I wasn't a fan of Death Stranding.
Yeah, Death Stranding was not for me, for sure.
Like, I might be more hyped when I see what it is and what it's gonna entail, but like he's definitely a visionary and definitely has, ideas that he likes to do. My thing is once I see it and I can see what it's going to become, then I might be more excited about it because obviously everybody's expecting like, oh, another Metal Gear Solid event, something in the vein of that. No, he's going to want to do something different. He was stuck in doing Metal Gear Solid for years. Now he kind of wants to let his creative fruits run wild. So like that's cool, but like I said, Death Stranding just wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah, I think Death Stranding was kind of a miss, but there are stands and fans who really like that game a whole lot. The rumors that this is going to be some sort of horror thing also put me off. Like, I'm not a horror game fan at all. So like if that's what this ends up being, unless it has like a very unique gameplay hook, I probably won't be into that either. But for the people who are, good on them. Like I think it's cool that I don't think it's cool that he's making exclusives, like either on Sony's side or Xbox's side. Like, I feel like his studio should just make games for like the masses, but at the very least, it's not stuck on just the PlayStation platform. He's doing it again for Xbox people now. But it'd be better if everything just went everywhere. But what I'm guessing is this, at the very least, will be on Xbox and PC. Like, Death Stranding already went to PC, so like at the very least, there's a second platform that folks can experience this stuff on.
And it's really
but yeah, I also don't think we'll see this anytime soon. Like, it'll be a long time before we actually see anything about this game.
Because even with like Metal Gear Solid, when he first started back in the 80s, like he was tasked with taking Metal Gear Solid from a senior like developer. So like the game was given to him, not necessarily like, I guess because he wanted it, but like, this is what you're gonna do, and it just evolved into something such a huge such a huge series, and the fan base is like insane. So I'm just really excited to see what it is. I'm not much of a horror, I guess Resident Evil is, I guess, a horror game, but I'm not really too big on horror games myself, Sigma. So I'm really curious to see how he approaches it, and how the game is gonna play. Because if it's a horror game and I'm not like it, regardless that it's Kojima, I probably won't really get into it. But anywho.
Yeah, we'll see. But I guess that does it for our recap of the Xbox Bethesda showcase. That was really fun. Thanks, you guys, for joining me once again for another podcast. Blue, why don't you let folks know where they can catch you for the rest of this week?
Ooh, yo, honestly, just catch me on Twitter or something, y'all. I've been kind of off the grid. Go to Twitter, put in that search bar BLUB0NES, and you'll find your boy. That's all.
Sweet. Superman Jeff, where can folks find you? What are you doing this week?
Hey, you can find me at Superman Jeff 12 across social media, on YouTube, on Twitch. Tomorrow we'll be back with some Destiny 2. Finishing up on some Trials of Osiris before the reset, so come through and check that out. About 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow on the Open Party channel, so definitely come.
Nice. Yokina Cat, what are you doing the rest of this week that folks can check and watch your content?
They can catch me on Twitter as well. Like Boo, I've kind of been incognito. And then they can also catch me on Instagram. So, and I posted it I'm always in the Open Party Discord, so everyone go join it, because that's where I'm
join.
at.
If you're not in the Open Party Discord, jump in there. Get in there.
That's where I am. 100. Like, when I am on any type of social media, it's definitely in the Open Party Discord, so you can find me there. And then I put in the Discord, I finally finished. I don't know if y'all saw, but my stream setup, it's finally done. So
we saw it. It looks dope.
Pretty cool.
Thank you. So I'm really, really excited. So I am going to post this week, and I actually just got a new job offer, so I'm really excited. So it's kind of like everything.
Congrats.
Thank you very much. So it's now that I have time to plan, I kind of have like an EOD date where I'm going to start. So I have a time to plan like my streaming schedule. So I'll definitely post that to my Twitch and then post it in the Discord so everyone can tune in. But that's where you can find me, Instagram and Twitter. My handle is the same on all social media: Discord, IG, Steam. It's just Yokina Cat. Corner right there. Okay.
Nice. You guys can find me, as always, at SigmaGears9 on Twitch, as well as Twitter. On Twitter, I'll usually send out a link showing you where I'm going to be at next. Streaming usually all week over on The Escapist. Like I mentioned earlier, I have a new 3-minute review for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge that just dropped, so check that out. Also, some preview stuff on the Escapist website. We just did a stream, I forgot to mention at all, of a bunch of the Steam Next Fest games. Like, we tried out a bunch of 2D action platformers. All the games were great, but the last couple, especially the very last game, Nine Souls, I cannot wait for that thing to be a full game. Like, that thing, it's basically doing for Sekiro what Hollow Knight was doing for Dark Souls. And, like, that is a big compliment, like, in terms of both story and gameplay mechanics. Like, I cannot wait for more of that game. So, check those streams out if you're curious about that. There will not be Super Smash Sunday today because, like we said, there's like 4 different holidays going on at the moment. And I'm going to be out doing stuff with the fam. So definitely check us next week over on the Open Party channel for more Super Smash Sunday. And outside of that, just thanks everybody in the chat for coming through. Really appreciate it. Really love it. That's going to do it for episode 69. It was
Jeff.
Nice.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Jeff.
Happy birthday.
Happy Juneteenth, everyone.
Father's Day.
And happy Father's Day to all the daddies.
69.
Peace. Go 69, you daddies.
Oh, no.